All right, here we go, guys. It's Kyle once again with another episode of Unlocking Your Inner Strength. Episode 296. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about how to get high naturally. That feeling of when you're high, if you've ever gotten high, or even when you get drunk before you do too much, right? Like when you get a nice buzz, and if you ride that and don't drink too much, that uplifting feeling. How do we get feelings like that naturally and a consistent basis? A lot of times people use drugs and alcohol as an escape mechanism. Sometimes it's just to feel better, right? If you're being a realist. A couple things I want to touch on. We've got the goal setting workshop I'm putting on this Thursday at the Hillsboro Gym. Anybody is welcome, but you got to register. newellstrength.com/goals22. You can attend on Facebook Live if you want, but it's better to be there in person. I'm going to be going over a lot of this type of stuff. Over time, my approach to goal setting has changed drastically. I don't really set as many outcome-based goals. I set process-oriented goals, things that I want to learn. Okay, there's always learning attached to it now, which is pretty cool. For example, I'm trying to become a better hunter. I can't control how many deer I get this year. Now, my goal from January 1st is to get out and hunt/fish 30 times this year. Each time I go out, I learn. I was out there this morning with the book, reading in the dark, leveraging my time with my journal, meditating. I enjoyed the process. It wasn't like, oh man, I got to go do this again. When you have that, you feel the opposite of high. You've always got to enjoy what you're doing. So the learning aspect, it's process oriented. And when you attach that to any goal, you can succeed every day. Part of the reason people are allured by goal setting is because you have this outcome that you're going to feel a nice buzz when you achieve it. I can tell you the very first time I competed in bodybuilding, more so the second time. The first time I had no idea what to expect. It was a bear. It was tough as heck. I learned a lot. Did really well on that first show. So naturally, the next year I said, I'm going to go and I'm going to win. And I did terrible. It was such a letdown. I went into such a funk. Actually, even the first time. For about 3-4 months, I went to a pretty deep depression because I had this focal point, this peak, and that was all there was. It was pre-success failure is what I call it. As you're going, you're not quite there. Then you hit it, and then what's left on the backside? Then you have this letdown. But for that moment in time, that one day, that early May day in 2004, my whole family was there and whatnot. Huge rush of dopamine. I did it. But how do you attach that to everyday life? That's where the learning comes in. It's that achievement, that dopamine that keeps us coming after the goal, after what we desire. It's really about the process, though. When we look at mind map, happiness is the path. So yes, you have to be happiness, comes from gratitude, consistent gratitude. But if we're attaching happiness to feel-good hormones in the brain, for what I'm talking about today, dopamine, we have to be able to get a nice hit of that every day. To do that naturally, there's got to be a learning process every day. I know if I don't learn, I don't feel good that day. I really don't. And that's why when I'm driving around or I'm sitting here, just got books all over here you guys can't see, constantly trying to learn. I'm driven by that. It's a nice, and it's selfish, right? I learn and then I teach, just like I'm teaching you guys. I learn, I teach, and that's how I learn more, is by teaching. There's this constant reinforcement, right? Now, the other way to get high naturally, well, there's a couple ways, actually. Well, let me go back before I jump into the next part. With the learning, so last night I did one of my breathing sessions. My goal is to do 50 roughly hour-long breathing sessions this year. That's in addition to my shorter daily meditation, which is like 10 minutes. And I did not, again, feel like doing it last night. But I know from I think I've done 4 now this year. Once I get into it, I get insights and I get this buzz going and I breathe. Because the monkey mind is always going to be telling you that you have to be busy and you should be doing something. And you don't have time to take an hour out to breathe. What are you doing? But it's really turned into a very productive thing for me. I get insights. I get to connect with my higher source, my higher power. I just get to chill out. But that type of breathing, too, is another way when you're flooding the body with oxygen that you can really stimulate this nice alpha state within your brain, and you just feel peace, right? You feel very calm. Now, the other way to get high naturally is to recognize your mortality. And I talk about this quite often because I think it's very important. This was a foundational thing in my philosophy of life. I realized at a very early age, and I came to grips with, and I was terrified by it at that point, death. Physical death. And I've been able to separate myself from that as life has gone on, and that it's a part of life. I'm not scared for what's after life. I've got my beliefs. I'm very comfortable and confident in them. But most people will not act. They will not step outside their comfort zone, whether that's fear of judgment, fear of a new environment. When you actually break those fears down, they're all rooted in fear of death. Every fear you have, and it sounds crazy when you say that out loud, is rooted in a fear of death, a lack of finances, a lack of food, a lack of a fear of being judged by other people. Because when we judge, the brain perceives that the deeper part of your brain is going to kick him out of the tribe. And then if we kick him out of the tribe, his chance for survival goes way down. So this is really what is going on within the brain. So every single fear you have is a fear of death. When you could confront that and you act in spite of that, you could constantly put yourselves in situations where you're confronting those fears. For some of you, that might be public speaking. That might be absolutely terrifying. It was for me at one point. Let me grab a sip of water here. A sip of the good old juice. Still in the 48. It might be a fear of public speaking. But I guarantee you, if you step out and you do that, you're going to feel such a buzz when you did that first public speech or you joined Toastmasters. That's what I did back in the day. And you get better at speaking. You realize, man, it's game time. Now, for me personally, a couple things I'll share examples with you of that this past year and coming up. And realize this before I share these. When you put your brain in those situations where there is a heightened sense of awareness because of that fear, you're creating new pathways in your brain. You're actually literally becoming more alive. Your brain is creating new neural pathways, and you're getting to experience new things. Most people spend their whole bike on the proverbial stationary bike, their whole life on a proverbial stationary bike, and they might have gone 100,000 miles, but they haven't moved. I used to see that a lot when I was a teacher. Same lessons over and over, year after year. That's not growth. You actually want to travel around the world, speaking with that analogy, not just in a stationary bike. Put yourself in new situations. Learn something new. Man, and my goal list down here for the year, I have like 8 different things for fitness. New things. I want to learn Tai Chi this year. I'm calling them today to schedule my first session. I want to learn how to use a mace. So all these cool things, right? And some of them are stuff that's just process oriented. I want to get back to playing basketball more. So playing 20 times this year is my goal. Again, there was a fear element 10 years ago, basketball, the way my knees were destroyed, and I still play. People say, you're crazy, you play. There's no fear. There's no fear with that, but putting myself out there and realizing you got to learn to play in a new way. Okay, so my 2 things, right? I got my motorcycle that's sitting right here in front of me. A big part of getting that for me and going through the course and studying and making a commitment to do that was a fear that I knew I was going to have riding that bike. And I could give it up at this point and be perfectly content that I did what I said I was going to do, and I took the course. I've been out in the roads, and I've learned it. Have I mastered it? Not even close. But there's a fear element. And to me, that means every time, should I choose to continue riding, it makes me feel a little bit more alive because I'm not just going through the motions. I know I got to be very mindful every time I go out on that bike. When you drive in a car, you have to calculate about 1,000 situations every hour. When you fly a helicopter, it's about 2,000 different factors you got to calculate every hour. When you ride a motorcycle, it's 2,200 calculations every hour. So my brain is literally alive and creating new pathways because I'm putting myself into this new environment, this intentional stress environment. And the other one that you guys might remember from last year, we're going back on March 5th, is I have a fear of heights. And Devin did not even notice. It's not when I'm flying or anything like that. It's like if I'm on the edge of something. It's the only thing that will get my palms sweating. I'm usually very, very calm with situations, and this is something I'm going to master. But we went to Mount Washington last year, and that part tripped me up. 80-degree slope at the one part for probably 3 sections, 2 to 3 stories each. I see the cliffs off to my left side. And I lost it mentally, but I did it. I got through it. Now, when I got through it, I didn't have the juice left because I was so fried mentally to summit. Going back this year, putting myself in that situation intentionally again. Why not? It's all about risk reward. Yes, is it dangerous? Yes. But the potential reward for me far outweighs that. What I can teach my children and what I'm going to put my brain through and how alive I'm going to feel on top of that mountain far outweighs that, yeah, you might slip and fall. Right? You might go outside and get hit by a car. But just realize that to live life naturally high, you got to constantly put yourself in new situations and things that you might fear, and you have to reframe them to, this is great. What am I learning from this? How do you make this fun? Right? There's a reason people love roller coasters. It's safe, but it makes them feel that fear. How do you apply that to your life? That's what I want you to take away from this. A couple of quick announcements. The next Panda will be starting early March 1st, I believe. Revamping some stuff in there. We have the goal setting workshop at Newell Strength Hillsborough this week, Thursday night, 8 p.m. Anybody can attend. You got to register on the website. There should be a goals tab up top. If not, just message me. And the Blitz, the 28-day Blitz, starts next Tuesday, a week from today. If you're a member, that's included. If not, you can register online. We will reach out to you. It's going to be really cool stuff, teaching you some lessons like this throughout. You guys have a great day. And also, I want to say thank you to all you people that message me privately, that give me words of encouragement, that really appreciate what I try to teach about every day and every week. It's nice because a lot of times I don't see people watching, right? I don't get that feedback, and I don't need it at all. But every time I hear from somebody, like, all right, just connecting with somebody, keep doing what you're doing. Keep putting it out there. Doesn't matter if it's got likes or this and that. Keep putting it out there. Oh, last thing, I think Instagram banned me, so you will not be able to find me for the time being on Instagram. All right, guys, have a great day.